Okay, so you're going to start by drawing a picture. This is a quick picture I'm drawn. And then erase any lines you don't want, of course. And you can be kind of rough with your sketch, because the thing is that then you're going to go back and use a marker to trace over. Well, you're going to use a marker that works. And you're going to trace over those lines. And keep in mind that anything that you draw, the laser cutter will be burning into the wood. So it's a little bit hard to think that way, but that's the part that will be indented. And so ultimately the parts that are dark right now will be light on the finished version. So you can change that by inverting your image, and I'll show you that in a second. Oh yeah, and then here I am just cleaning up the area. So you could leave those sketch lines and they might have like kind of an interesting effect, or you could clean it up by just taking an eraser. Okay, so after you have taken your sketch and drawn over it with marker and are happy with it, take an image of it. Use your phone to do this, set it on a tabletop and use some nice lighting and take a photograph. Here's mine. Hopefully yours will be a little bit more fleshed out than mine. Mine is really just a quick sketch to kind of show you the whole process. It might not be oriented the way you like. That's okay. We'll deal with that in a little bit. So I just synced it with my computer and I'm using it that way. You'll probably want to email it to yourself. So you'll take a photograph with your phone and then you'll email it to your Haverford or Bryn Mawr account, and then log into one of the computers on the print lab and open up Photoshop. Once Photoshop opens, it should look something like this. What you're going to do is do File, New, and you'll probably have something like this that pops up. Recent will work, or clicking Print will work. Either way, over here on this side, you're going to change this to 6, and then height will be 4. So 6 inches is the length of it, and the height can be 4 inches. Resolution doesn't need to be this intense. I'm going to do 150. 150 is still a pretty decent resolution. If you can't see 4 by 6 inches, this is your drop-down menu. It might say like points or picas or pixels or something. Switch it over to inches to do 6 by 4. Click Create, and then you have your template here. So now what you can do is import. You can do File and import image from device. I actually just like to click and drag it. So I have the document here. I just click and drag it right there. It's probably going to be pretty big. Oh no, it's not too big. But the orientation is wrong. So when you first drag and drop something, you get a X like this. That means it's in its transformation mode. So what you can do is, I'm holding Shift and then I click on the corner here. See how the mouse changes. Holding Shift and clicking, and now I can just drag it to the side. And then I want to make it the whole length of this template. So I'm going to hold Shift again as I click the corner here and drag. And the reason I did that, if I don't hold Shift, it will not uniformly scale up. So it'll do something like this. So a little bit of that is okay. And a scale might be something that interests you too, because it kind of deforms it in an interesting way. So that could be something you do. But instead, I'm just going to hold Shift and uniformly scale it up. Now, you'll see that it's not quite the right size. That's okay. I'm just going to scale it beyond it so it actually will crop a little bit of the image. So keep that in mind. You might lose a little bit of your image. If you're really worried about that, you can scale it so it's a little bit weird and it probably won't be all that noticeable. Or you can leave it a little bit small and put it in the center there. And then with our next step, which is adjusting the contrast, this sort of bright white here, and then the color of the paper will probably go away, and you probably won't even be able to notice. Anyway, yeah, I'll just scale like this because for this purpose it's fine. All right, so the only thing you need to do is go up to Images, and then Adjustments, and then Levels. And with this, what we're trying to do is clean up the image so the whites are pretty white and the darks are dark. So I'm just going to move, basically just going to play around with these until I get that desired effect. There we go. That's getting to pretty much what I want. So I'll click OK. So now the black lines are very solid and the white lines are pretty solid too. So this is pretty much done. However, if I was to put this in the laser cutter as is, this area here, the black lines would be the part that is burned into the material, and the white lines would not be touched at all. So what you're going to want to do is invert that so that what we're looking at right now is actually what the end result is once we print it. And actually, I'll do both. So I'm just going to transform this again, smaller, just so you can see. So that would be kind of what I would be working towards. And now I'm just going to scale this down so you can see the difference. All right, so I'm just going to put these images side by side, and I'm going to leave one like this, and I'm going to invert the other one. So the way you invert your image, so this would be your last step, actually. So go to Image, and Adjustments, and Invert. So now the places that were white are now black, the places that were black are now white. Okay, so I'm going to File, Save As, and I don't want it to be a Photoshop file. Your default option will be Photoshop, so if you're really fast in this part, your default will be Photoshop. That's not what you want to do. So you're going to go to JPEG, and you're going to name this, probably your last name would be good, and then like print 1 or 2 or 3, whatever it ends up being. Put it in a place that makes sense. Downloads is fine for now, and I'm going to save that. It'll say, do you want it to be about medium quality? You could bring that up, but really 847 good. That's all fine. So I'll click OK. All right, so then you email it to me, and I will laser cut this. But I'm going to show you that process, even though I'm going to be doing that, or Anu is going to be doing that, or one of my student workers. We still want you to at least see how that part works. Okay, so I'm the only person in here, so I have taken my mask off. So this next step we'll be doing, but we just wanted to show you how to do it. So I've taken my drawing that I tweaked in Photoshop and I put it on the computer. Now note that this is your 6x4 template and it's smaller, but remember I just scaled it down just to show you the difference between an inverted image and not an inverted image. So you'll see that at the end. But this size here, your image should actually fit 6x4. So we'll do a file and a print, setup, preferences, and in here I'm going to do a raster print. And I want the size to be the same. I want it to be 6x4, and then the settings for this particular thing is going to be 50 speed and 100 power, and the DPI is going to be 600. That's just something that we determined before class was worked the best for this particular type of print process. So I'm going to click OK, print, and that sends it to the machine. This is a time lapse. It's not actually this fast. It'll take about 20 to 35 minutes to do your print. Okay, the second step will be to laser cut around the image. So you can see we just finished it. And now I'm going to do what is called a vector cut. And the vector cut will just cut around the size, which the size is a 4x6 again. All right, there you have it. So you can see the difference there. In this image here that has been inverted, the parts that were the dark lines are now the lines that pop up. So those would be the parts that are inked. And here, everything around the drawing would be inverted. I mean, it would be inked up. So with this thing here, you would actually get something that looks like this, and with this thing here, you get something that looks like this. So just keep that in mind. Okay, so now that I have it, I'm done with it, and what I'll do is I'll walk it out of the makerspace. I'm going to put it in this cabinet right here, which is in the lower level of the VCAM building. So that's where you'll be able to find it. So you just come by and grab it, and then you'll take it back to the print lab to do the inking.